That's true. Everyone's skeptical.
So the reason why I asked whether you believe in your past life is because Frank might be his reincarnated
My grandfather from
grandfather.
my dad's dad.
Yeah, so Frank might be his reincarnated grandfather.
Okay. Now, before I say the story, let me say another smaller story.
Wait, who assumes this though? Your dad?
Everyone in the family.
Yeah. Especially my grandma, which is my dad's mom.
Whoa, what a trip.
Especially, I know for sure what I for sure got from my grandpa were the hands. Like the super chubby big hands.
Okay.
But anyway, I'll explain that right now. Just remind
He
me.
can choke.
Yeah. They have a purpose. They have a purpose.
Pause.
We were not talking about that, bro.
That's on the OnlyFans. Nah. Okay. So.
Oh, we gotta talk about Frank's blackmail story.
His what?
Brandon knows.
Brandon knows. Blackmail.
Oh, dude, but we do have to talk about it though.
Yeah, okay,
That's good. That's good.
Let's go.
Okay. Anyway.
Let's go.
Okay. So before I say the actual main story, a little recap of that can make it a little more believable. My dad, it's extremely fucking rare to see him cry. To even see a single fucking tear falling out of my dad's face. So, whenever my dad was explaining this story, I think it was like either the first or one of the first times that I've actually seen my dad get really emotional and cry. So, whenever my dad was explaining that watch story that I'm about to explain right now or say right now, he told me like, oh well, before that, like this happened. So my grandfather, which is my dad's dad, he passed away before I was born.
Okay.
So kind of long story short, whenever my dad was in the funeral, I think he had told me that his mom, which is my grandma, told him like, hey, go up to the casket and like just you by yourself and talk to him. Like he's here with you right now. He can hear you. He can listen to you. Talk to him. So, I mean, I'm getting kind of emotional with the story because I'm reminiscing from like whenever my dad was telling me the story. So it kind of got to me,
Yeah.
He said he got close to the casket. Excuse me. And he started, praying and talking to, his dad. So from what I remember that my dad told me, he said that he's like, hey, like the only thing I ask of you, is like the first thing I ask from you is, like I want to have a son, like I want a boy, and I want him to be like you. Like I want you to be like he started talking to him, and he started like the main thing that he wants, like he wants a son, and he wants like, just a bunch of stuff like that. Like he wants me to be like him, and I don't know what, and like have like his knowledge, and have the success that my grandpa had and stuff, because my grandpa was really well known over there in Mexico. And so like I remember my dad was getting really emotional talking to his dad, and that's when the tears kind of started coming out of his face, and I was like, well, damn. And my dad said that after he was talking to his dad about saying that he wanted to have a boy. I think my sister was already born. My sister was already alive, and my sister's older than me, obviously. I don't know if he said exactly 9 months later I was born. So after my dad said like, yeah, like, I ask of you, like the only thing I ask of you is like if I could please, like, my next child, if he could be a boy, if he, like I want to have a son or whatever, and I want like just talking like that, man. And he said that exactly 9 months later I was born. And he said that like it was really crazy. Like he was like wow, like that's when he said like, okay, like 9 months later, exactly 9 months later, like that's when I knew like some of him was in you.
Okay.
And it's really crazy because not just the watch thing, but he said that my grandpa, which is my dad's dad, obviously, he said that he used to sit down. I don't know if it was like with the leg like crossed like this.
Yeah.
I think it was like this. Or I don't think it was crossed, but I think it was just like with the leg over like that. He said my grandpa would sit a lot like that. And most of like my, my toddler / young kid ages, I would always sit like that. That's how I would always sit. And then my dad would always tell me, he was like, I never really told you, excuse me, but every time I would see you doing that, it always reminded me of my dad, because my dad would always sit exactly like that. Like the same hand gestures, same little motion that he would do and sit down and everything. Like it reminded him of that. He was like, holy shit, like that's when my dad knew, like, okay, so like there's some of my dad in him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now the story gets even crazier, because my dad said, I can't remember how old he said I was. I was probably like 5 years old, maybe slightly younger, but I was between like the age of 5, 6, maybe 7, 5 and 7, around there. You know, I was obviously able to talk, you know, communicate.
I thought you were like 4 for the watch story.
Yeah. He said it was really, really young. He said
Yeah.
like really young. I don't even think passing 7, to be honest, or 6. But I was really tiny. And he said that one day, you know, we were in the apartment or whatever, and my dad has a watch from my grandpa, from my dad's dad. Obviously, he has a watch that he passed down. And he said that I think he brought up the watch. I don't know if like to show me or to look at it or something. And I was sitting in my dad's lap, and then I looked at the watch, and he said that I told him that I was looking at the watch, and I said, "Hey, like that's my watch." And my dad looked at me. He was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Yeah, that's my watch." He's like, I remember telling you to for you to take care of that watch for me. It's like that watch is really precious and priceless to me. So please take care of it for me." And he said that whenever I said that to my dad, that like my mom, like she was in the kitchen and she just like dropped whatever she was like frozen. She was like, "What the fuck? Like how?" Like that was the first time I've ever seen that watch in my whole entire life. That's what my dad said. And my dad was like he froze too. He was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Yeah." And then that I started like describing the watch. He was like, "Yeah, like it was like these little gold pieces, and I don't know what about like the watch piece and like this other like little diamond stuff." And like I started describing the watch exactly. And the part that like I said that really tripped out my dad was saying that like, "Oh, I told you to take care of this watch, so please take care of it because it means a lot to me." And I've never ever, like he told me, like I've never seen that watch in my life ever.
The way that I remember the story when his dad was telling me that story was that Frank was mad because he saw the watch and he was like, "Hey, how come you're not taking care of it? Like look at the condition that it's on. I told you to take care of it." And then he started describing it like, "This is supposed to be here. This like this gold piece over here."
Oh, wow.
And then he was like, and then like his mom just dropped the plate and it broke on the floor. Yeah.
So my dad was like, "What?" Like my dad was in awe, bro. He was like, "Holy shit, what the fuck?"
And like Frank had never seen the watch, you know.
Like, I've never ever seen the watch.
Dude, like,
and honestly, I think I still even remember the watch in my head. Yeah.
And like Frank literally told him, "I told you to take care of this watch. Yeah. This is my watch. How come you don't have it like in the condition that it was on?"
Yeah, man.
And like that was like his father passed down that watch on to his dad. Yeah.
And then it always kind of gets to me like me da cosa because like the little times that I've gone to Mexico to see my dad's side of the family. Yeah. My grandma, which is the wife of my dad's dad, like my grandpa, obviously. She like every time I'm sitting down with her talking to her, she's always looking at my hands, and she just grabs my hands and she like touches them and shit. And then she's having like flashbacks, and she always tells me, she was like, "Oh, she's like, you have the exact hands of your grandpa." She was like, it's insane of how like big and like chubby your hands are and your fingers and shit. And I just start laughing, and she's like, "Yeah, like they're exactly your grandpa's hands." And I think my fingers like are like as thick or even thicker than my fucking dad's fingers. And my dad, my dad's a pretty big guy, so yeah. And well, I mean, you fuckers always make fun of my big ass hands, so when you always say like, "Oh, big ass hands, big ass." Well, a bunch of people tell me like, "Bro, you have big ass hands."
I don't think I've ever like roasted your hands.
Not roasted, but you've probably mentioned it.
No, I've roasted you in other ways.
I've roasted you in other ways.
I've never done it about your hands, but now I'm gonna roast your hands.